Context is always important. The reason God is saying, I don't want the kind of fasting that we're so used to thinking about, was that the Israelites were doing that and then fighting with one another, bickering with one another, slandering one another, defrauding one another. What's the good of kneeling beside the guy in the church as you have a prayer and fast night that you're gonna bilk of money on a business deal? Okay, this is what we've got. We're near to Him with our lips and far to Him from our heart, with our heart, right? So then, is it legitimate for fasting to be used as a form of self-humbling and pleading for God to do things? Yeah, sure, it's legitimate. We find that in Ezra chapter 8. We find that in various places in the Old Testament. But Jesus here seems to be talking about the fasting that gets a person out of their private closet into the public, because He says, wash your face so that no one will know that you're fasting. So obviously you're in public. Okay? Which seems to be the Isaiah 58 kind of fast, where you are engaged in doing good works. Anybody ever heard somebody talking about fasting from Isaiah 58? Okay. So you guys need to get Isaiah 58 as part of your biblical thinking about fasting. And all of these things, almsgiving, praying, and fasting, are rewarded by God. Now this is fascinating to me. I can see the almsgiving. You're giving money, God's going to reward you. That makes good sense. But praying, God rewards us for praying. So think about it this way: every time you come to God in prayer, He is adding tally marks to the amount of reward you're getting. Every time you fast, God intends to reward you. Now, is that reward solely in heaven? Probably not. I think there's implications for here on earth, though I suspect the majority of reward will be there. Why would
it be, would part of the reward maybe be answered with the prayer you have with that?
Sure, I think so. But I don't know how to say this in a short, pithy way, but prayer is not about me getting God to do what He wouldn't do otherwise and needs my cajoling and pleading for Him to do. Prayer is God letting me have a part in what He already wants to do, and then rewarding me for letting me participate. Right? So, didn't I give this illustration earlier this semester about, I had to pick up an air conditioning unit, and my son, Daddy, can I help you? And, I've got the compressor end of the thing. It's monstrously heavy. And so here's Alan, 8-year-old, who's got his hand underneath the other side. I've got the entire weight of the air conditioner. Daddy, can I help you? Sure, you can help me. And we carry the air conditioner over to where it goes, and we put it down. He said, "Wow, that's heavy, And, man, I helped Daddy carry the air conditioner." And I said, "Thank you for your help. I'm proud of you, son. Appreciate your helpful attitude." Okay? I reward him. Did he do anything? Yes, he participated. Was his participation necessary for the accomplishment of the task? No. But he got the privilege of participating and got rewarded for the participation. And that's what God's letting you and I do in prayer. Okay? I'm doing stuff. Hey, you want to join me? If you join me, I'll reward you while I do the stuff that I'm going to do. Which is beautiful. It's very fatherly and gracious. Now, that brings us to the Lord's Prayer, one of my favorite parts of the Sermon on the Mount that just cannot be passed over because everybody knows it. Okay? If there's anything that I can teach you about the Lord's Prayer that perhaps I've been teaching enough places that it's starting to filter into people's consciousness, is the proper understanding of the first petition. Hallowed be thy name. Okay? Somebody tell me, what is the Greek word or the idea behind the Greek word that's translated hallowed? To sanctify, yes. All right, so those of you who know the prayer in Greek, agias theto to onomasu. Agias theto, let your name be sanctified. Now, how is God's name sanctified? All right. Multiple ways. I'll start with three primary ways. God says in Leviticus chapter 10, the first instance, that I killed Nadab and Abihu when they offered incense with strange fire because they didn't sanctify my name. And he says, I will be sanctified by those who draw near to me, and I will be glorified by those who come near. All right. What's going on? Well, God said, you only use fire that I put on the altar. They used different fire. They said, my way is as good as God's way. My fire is as good as God's fire. You know, fire is fire. My fire burns incense just like his fire burns incense. No difference. And God says, you're treating me common. You're making me average, ordinary. I am not to be made average or ordinary. I am neither of those things. I must be set apart. I will not tolerate being made common. So disobedience to even the littlest of commands, like where you get your fire, fails to sanctify God. And so when we pray, let your name be sanctified, we're praying, God, help me to set you apart by my careful obedience to you. Okay. Secondly, Moses is harassed in soul because of all of these Israelites insisting on water. And God, he's in there before God, and God says, go out and speak to the rock, and it'll pour forth water. And Moses is ticked off, and he gets out there, takes his rod. Do I have to beat this rock, to get water for you? You know, I can just hear him. If he could, he'd say, you bunch of blickety blank 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 people. Okay? And he strikes the rock. Water comes pouring out, but God says, you didn't sanctify me in the eyes of the Israelites. You didn't believe me. Okay? So the issue is here not disobedience, but it's belief. Apparently, Moses didn't think that speaking was a sufficiently powerful way of accomplishing what God had said to do. We needed some action here, some striking. And God said, you didn't believe me, so you don't get to go into Canaan. You just lost the goal of 120 years worth of living. So sanctifying God's name is really significant. All right, we'll pick up there next time. Wow, the network just came up. Cool. So I think this is where we were at, right here. Which means I will have to stop. No,